business to become a snacking powerhouse. And now we're actually being acquired by Mars. So yet another transformation in order. So super pleased to be here. And with me, I have got an absolute rock star on my team, Nicole Kramer, who's going to co-present with me. And I've also brought another rock star performer. I don't know where he went. He's probably passing out the Cheez-It, Brad Prentice. But both of them have actually led the implementation. They have been the leaders in our company to do this. So I've got the right people here to ask or answer any questions that you might have at the end, okay? We'll allow some questions at the end. So, you know, this isn't just some tech upgrade for us. This is really thinking differently. This is being able to get our retail sales leads for onboarding, and newly, a new program that we're launching to get people in the headset, to get them fully immersed into it. And so all of you can really get that feeling. We've created a video to show you of what our learners will be experiencing. So I'll show that video to you next.
Across our sales organization, transformation is happening, driven by technology and the desire to keep up with the pace of change. From day one, our teams are equipped with smart tools, immersive learning, and real-time insights. This is how we build confidence, capability, and connection as a team. Now, imagine what's next, where data meets design, and every aisle tells a story. The Cheez-It Lead the Aisle VR program showed us how to lift a story from PowerPoint to immersive experiences, reinventing the way we sell. 75% of companies experiencing an ROI with Gen AI, this transformation promotes stronger connections and leads to unparalleled success. Putting ourselves in the eye of the shopper to see what they see and feel, with those moments in store and in their homes, the moments that matter. The future of sales enablement is here, driven by innovation. And we're not just keeping up, we're leading the way. We're blending the best of human connection and digital innovation to transform how sales teams engage, pitch, and lead. This isn't just a step forward. It's a strategic play that redefines the field. We're not following the future of sales leadership. We're building it.
We absolutely love that video because we are ditching the decks and we are bringing virtual reality to life and getting our learners into the headsets so they are fully immersed in what they're doing. So here's how the next 20 minutes is going to go. This is what our agenda looks like, and you can see we're really pushing new boundaries here. So I'll talk to you a little bit about our retail sales onboarding and how we do that. We'll get into a little bit of that. But I want to leave a good amount of time for Nicole to talk to you about the new programming that we've just unveiled. And so we're super excited about that. Last year I spent quite a bit of time talking about onboarding, so I'll hit up on that. But we want to make sure that Nicole gets to share her story and what we're doing next. So why VR, and why now? Why in this new world? What are we doing with it? We have our retail sales force, and obviously when when new hires start with us, they have a varied background. So they may have a lot of experience coming into Kellanova, or they may be just coming right out of college. So we want to make this onboarding super memorable for them. And when we talk about VR, you guys know the benefits. It's a great way to have consistent learning. And so that time that they're in the headset doesn't change. And what I love about it, it is new, it's shiny, it's exciting. They always say you shouldn't worry, don't go there, it's the new thing. Hey, it's a great tool to get people to really get excited about joining our company. Because I can tell you, when those new hires come in and they know that they're gonna have some gamification and isn't just PowerPoint by death, I'm telling you what, they get super jazzed about it. And we wanna build that culture and show how we're investing from day one in them. So let's look at this a little bit more. You can see here from the onboarding. Let me give you a little bit of background on how it works. So we bring our new hires, our retail sales reps. Those are the reps that are actually out in the grocery store upselling. We bring them in for a 4-day program. We immediately get them into the headset. So they learn our 8-step store call process. And we're getting metrics the whole time. Then throughout the week, they learn about our Spark selling model. They learn about our amazing brands that we have. And then for their capstone, we'll get them back in the headset again. And so we can track from day one, from the first time they're in the headset to the second time they're in the headset. And I'll show those metrics to you next. But it's pretty memorable. I mean, we get so many questions about, hey, when I was in the headset, I remembered this or that. We don't always get all those questions when you're talking for 4 days with PowerPoint, okay? This is a memorable experience, and it's learning that sticks. So enough about that. Let me jump into where our metrics are, because I know that this is something last year we heard a lot about, and I'll just tell you, I'll be completely transparent, we are still learning as we're going through on these metrics and what we're doing. I love to talk about the fact that we implemented virtual reality, and we did it as something that we were gonna learn from. We didn't have all the answers up front, but we were okay with that. Experimenting for us was the way to go. And we've since learned from it, and we've actually expanded it. So it's working for us. So let's talk about these metrics. The very first metric that you see on here is literally from the first to the second time our retail sales is in the headset, they have actually been able to upsell 90% better. So we can watch things like the eye tracking that's going on, and if they're missing a spot in the store consistently from the first to the second time, and then we could actually go back to the hiring manager to say, the next time you do the work with, make sure that your new hire isn't missing that space in the store for a display. Because as you know, that's money, right? We want to make sure that we're constantly ensuring that they are upselling at store level. So that alone is just huge. The other piece of it is 50% of out of stocks from the first time to the second time they were in the headset that they recognized and knew what to do. So just that alone, the shelf is the gift that keeps on giving. Again, that's money, right? And so those statistics are extremely important. Another statistic I don't even think that we have up here was we saw a 75% increase in safety. And so they actually saw a safety hazard, they knew what to do with it. Now, that's not good enough, we want 100%. But gosh, metrics like that, I mean, we're making progress, right? And then we have seen we've received about 5,000 different points of interest and metrics that are coming back. Have we done something with all of that? No. We're gonna build an agent, though, to help us, I can guarantee it. My team is getting really good at building agents, and so we'll get some help with what we do with all those data points, because sometimes that data can be a little overwhelming. So that is exactly what we're doing to immerse our retail sales reps, our new sales reps, and they absolutely love it, and it is building culture for us. And so for us to put an ROI on it, we don't even have to, because we are investing in our people and they love the gamification. And honestly, it doesn't matter what age group that we're getting into the headsets. They all give us such positive feedback. Probably out of, I don't know, 50 people say that are in the headset, we might have one that says it makes them maybe a little bit dizzy. We try to keep them into the headset, I think, for a total of 12 or 15 minutes, is it, Brad? 20? Oh, okay, 20 minutes, wow. But never, very few issues. So they're immersed in it, they love it, and I love it because there is no multitasking going on during this experience, so it's amazing. With that, I am going to hand it over to, I had a video that was supposed to be playing the whole time, darn it.
Sorry.
That just shows you as the rep is entering the retail store, kind of what they're seeing and what's happening here. But the good news is you guys got to see it through the video. So with that, I want to hand it over to Nicole, who's going to take you through the new way that we're flipping the script. We're ditching the PowerPoints. And Nicole, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, I want everybody to imagine that you are a buyer and that your vendor is coming to you in the store and it's walking down the aisle and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this meeting? I've already seen like 40 decks. I have, 15 minutes to eat food and I've got an hour scheduled with this person. And all these thoughts are going through your head. And then the rep comes up and says, here, try these on. Pair of glasses. That's what you see here. That's our vision. This is our proof of concept for the buyer's experience to be sold on a program. And this is the Cheese It Lead the Aisle program that we are trying to sell to our customers today. And this idea actually stemmed from a category manager that had to sell in a seasonal program in literally 15 minutes to a Walmart buyer. They had to sit right across from them. And that interaction is very intense. And you come in with slides and maybe you're devaluing your program because you're rushing through. And at the end of the day, you still want a yes. Well, if you don't get a yes, that's, you're disappointed. But now, imagine if you could do that. If you could tell your story in such an elevated way in under 5 minutes, so that you're spending the 10 minutes left that you have to talk about strategy, implementation, and execution of that plan. You are co-creating your plan with your customer versus, waiting for the slides and the decks and the monologue to continue on. So that's the vision behind this. We are revolutionizing the way that we're selling training both internally, and now we're looking to do that externally. We are also wanting to up our game on our storytelling and our data storytelling capabilities, and then lastly, reducing that pitch time. That story is pretty critical. Going from an hour to being able to tell your story in under 5 minutes so that you can allow for the rest of the time for discussion and strategy is critical. That's when we saw learning sticks. This is the learning that sticks. And that's why you got some fun gum to chew on as you're chewing on this information as well. But it does. It sticks because it's felt. So a part of the POC project is that we had to make sure that we put our own team members and our senior leaders through this experience. And we were fortunate enough to have a sales session last week where we had about 300 people in attendance, and most of our senior leaders were there as well. A lot of people got into the headset. And as they got into the headset, I was really excited to see the smiles on their faces and the whoa, there's so much excitement happening. They are literally immersed in such an environment that they're not used to. And a lot of them actually knew about the program or had already effectively sold in the program to their customer. So it was really great to get their take on it. PowerPoint versus this, what would you have preferred? So as they were stepping out of it, I asked them, how did you feel? What did you think? What do you recall? And the insights and the emotional connection that was happening with the characters that we were developing in the storyline were just naturally coming out without hesitation. And a lot of them openly admitted that they recalled facts that they probably would not have recalled had they had been pitched with this information by a presentation. So again, this to us is telling us there's something here. Our gut is telling us there's something here. We have to keep learning more about this technology and learning how we can present this to our customers. And so we thought, okay, if it works here, if it's worked so far in sales and retail enablement, if we are now incorporating it into our onboarding and training, how do we bring it together through our company culture? Well, I started to think about brands. I'm a big brand ambassador, and that's why you got your Cheez-Its along with the presentation. But I started to think, okay, what if we hired new talent, and what if their first experience as they're coming onto the onboarding event that Brad hosts, what if they step into our production facility through VR? What if they get to see how we make Cheez-Its? What if they make their own Cheez-It in a virtual culinary kitchen? Don't you think that emotional connection of that new hire and attachment to the company would happen instantaneously? Wow, this company is cool. I now know the value of Cheez-It. I know how to sell it. I've just been educated on how to sell it with an 8-store call process. I learned about our brands in a different way, and now I even made my own Cheez-It. Who's not gonna go home and talk about that? That's kind of where my head's at. That's where the vision is at, and that's where we're actively working with the teams. So as I started to talk about that passion, commercial teams started to say, oh my gosh, how do we bring our innovation stories to life? Our other partners are starting to say, our category partners, how do we bring our floor print or our floor plans, our displays, things that we send decks to people to kind of spew through, how do we bring that to life in a VR setting? Whether it's a quick video or you actually put on the headset, how do we do that? So I got really excited because I feel like there's so much possibility here. We are just scratching the surface. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this presentation. I hope you have a ton of questions and that you stick around with us, because a lot of people are always asking, well, you know, why are you doing this? Why are you investing all this money? I encourage everyone here to ask themselves, why not? Why not reinvent the way that you are training people today? Why not reinvent the way that you're pitching to your customers? Why not have fun with the people that are working with you today? We heard it yesterday, and I'll remind everybody today if you didn't, 5 different generations are working together today, and half of that workforce is eligible to retire in the next 5 to 6 years. So the new workforce that's here today, they want speed, connection, technology, and VR delivers on all 3. So why not? Why not start today? 2 questions to you before we ask you to ask us questions. How can you do this? Think about how can you do this in your company today, and when can you start? Because we are the innovators in this space. We are game changers. The technology is here. We are the ones now that need to bring it to life to our companies. So hopefully you enjoyed that. You've chewed on some information and some yum gum, and you stick around with us. Our LinkedIn QR codes are on the screen, and we are happy to answer any questions that you might have. Over to you guys.
Thanks, Nicole. Yeah. All right, what questions do you have for us? Yes. Love questions.
Okay. All right, you first.
I got the A team here to answer.
Sean Jasperson, Texas A&M University, Mays Business School. So what I heard when you were talking about, in particular, the pre and post tests from your onboard training was pretty significant outcomes. Can you talk a little bit more about, right, so that was in 4 days, pre and post. What happens with retention past that? How has that impacted your sales team and their success in what they're doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So coming off from the training, what we do is every single month we're continuing to invest in our talent, and we do continuous training. But I think more importantly, we have their frontline manager who is actually out in the stores, who will do store walks with them. They actually have that, checklist that they go through. So all the things that they learned, the 8-step store call process that they learned in the headset, and our Spark selling process, they go through that to ensure that they are selling like we trained them to in the beginning. So it's a pretty rigid walkthrough that they get with continuous feedback. And then, the next time their manager is out there, they should see improvement based on the feedback that they got. So there's a lot of coaching that takes place beyond our extended learning. Honestly, we do a lot of shorter podcasts that we send out. We find that as our reps are driving from store to store, that works really well to be able to use that vehicle to train. And it seems to be really engaging.
Yeah, and we haven't done it yet for the Cheez-It program because that's still under development, but the goal there is to have kind of that same scenario of which account executives sold it in with a PowerPoint, which one sold it in with the VR, and then did it actually, how long did it take for you to pitch it plus execute it versus the PowerPoint pitch plus execute. Because what I had learned so far when I was interviewing account executives is you pitch it, and then that person has to pitch it internally as well. So there's a delay there. And if they don't remember what your PowerPoint was, then they have to go and redigest that information. So there's time there that could be saved and repurposed with the VR technology, which I hope to prove in the coming months.
There's somebody else that had a question. Yeah, perfect.
Hi, Cindy again, Takeda. I guess my one big question is how much did you budget for this year or even last year for the VR program, and who championed it? Who's the person who really drove it so that it would happen?
Yeah. Okay, so in full honesty, I didn't budget anything for it. But we did do a spin-off, and so when we spun off the cereal company, I guess in some of our upfront cost, we needed to redo take out the cereal aisle because we had that in our 8-step store call process. And so we had to update that. So that did get updated. But going back to originally, I think you asked how I sold it in. Was that one of the questions?
Yeah, who championed it? So
yeah.
We had go ahead, senior leaders.
Yeah, from a champion standpoint, I didn't really submit a business plan, to be honest, but I took it in front of our leaders and said, we're going to experiment with this. Look, it's not a huge cost. We work with Roundtable Learning. They were phenomenal. And I said, we definitely want to experiment with this and see if it works. So, give me the latitude to be able to have my team do that. And they did. And here we are years later and continuing to expand it. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and for the Cheez-It Lead the Aisle program, I'll add, it was a funny idea I had in my head last August after attending several retail programs that Brad had. And I said, you know what? I come from the account executive background, so I was like, oh man, I wish I could just do this. I wish I could just have a buyer get in the headset. And it was just perfect alignment. So the team that I was on, I was help supporting a category role, and that person thought that I was on a good track and said, go chase after that. And so I did, and the more I talked to certain people, it's like all the stars aligned. We had a customer, we had the customer in line, and the customer was a gamer, so this was not gonna be I need to sell them on the tech. They love the tech, they do this every day. So now it was more of connect with the VR vendor and put it all together and get some alignment on funding to do it. We're at the point where last week, as I shared it with other category people who have a little bit more interest on what the aisle looks like and making sure everything is perfect to the T, they wanted to make adjustments. And I said, well, the video's already done, the budget's already don't worry about that, we'll pitch in. So I think I heard this yesterday. Start with your middle management level that can really, get your end users the buy-in there, because they'll start to talk up and funding will come. So.
Yeah. Influence, right?
Influence
your key stakeholders. And I think another thing that really has driven the alignment with leaders, we got leaders in the headset. And so just last week, we had a meeting. Again, the leaders were in the headset and seeing the immersive learning and experiencing it. It's one thing to talk about it, but get them in that headset. And once they see that, oh my gosh, they'll be sold. Because when you scale it, it's not that expensive. I mean, I would just say it's not that expensive. You can scale this learning and do a lot. And Brad, he developed some of our first time in the headset. He's not even a gamer, but he did figure it out and worked really well with the vendor partner. And you can make things happen. Hire good talent on your team. What else do you have for us?
Well, I do want to say, just in the interest of time, we are going to go for a PM break. Please stop Tomissa and Nicole outside so that she can answer your questions. They both can answer your questions in depth. Huge round of applause. That wraps up our green track.
And we do have a headset if anybody wants to try the experience. We have one.
Yes, they have one on site. So if you'd like to play on it, I highly recommend. At the moment,